One day, Swami was ready to come for darshan. He was not keeping well. He had high temperature, 103 temperature. So I was standing near the door before coming out just to open the door. Somehow I stood there and I was watching him and sort of signaling, saying that you can delay going out because he had little temperature. Then he was looking at the door. He was not talking, but he was looking at the door that I should be opening. So I knelt before him and said, you can delay going because Swami is not keeping well, he is having temperature. You won't believe what Swami said at that time. He said, if I don't meet devotees, I have no work here. I have no work if I don't go and meet them. Why do you stop it? I did not even think, I just opened because after hearing that, he said, Bhaktul lekapothe naaku ingem panundi ikkada. That is exactly what he said. What work I have here if I don't go and see them? If I am not with the devotees, what work? He is such a loving Lord. He had 103 fever that day, and he said, this is the love that he has for him. Without them, I have no work here. So, he is someone, right from the day he declared that I have come for humanity, till 2011, every word he spoke for us, every step he took is for us, every act he did is just for us. A most selfless being ever you can witness on this planet, it is Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. He walked for us, he spoke for us, he ate with us, every bit of activity. Because he came out for darshan. Who was happy when he came out for darshan? It is he or we. We wanted darshan. It is we wanted, we were thronging, we were praying, Swami come. Some days when towards the 2000, after 5, 6, 7, some of them would have, Swami is not coming, we are praying, Swami please come, please come, please come. Because we wanted to see him, we wanted to feel him, we wanted to feel the joy. So we were asking for his darshan. When he took a letter from us, who felt happy? It is we who felt happy. When he had a word with us, who was joyfully jumping? It is we who were joyful. If he called us for an interview, we are over the moon. Who was very happy and over the moon? It is we who were happy. Many times he would say, every day, day in and day out, morning, evening, we all want him. One day, it so happened, some devotees were sitting in the interview room. So one gentleman was taking leave of Swami. He said, Swami, tomorrow is my birthday. So he said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. After 1 hour of the presence, then he went to the door, then suddenly he remembered and came back and told Swami, Swami, day after tomorrow, my son's wedding anniversary. Swami said, Manchiji, very good, we'll see day after tomorrow. Then he just went, again he remembered something, he said, Swami, can I bring along with my grandchildren, grandson also, he needs Akshara, that is, when first time they write. Swami said, okay. Then he went away. Then Swami commented, he said, even God comes and I live another 500 years, this is what you are going to ask me. Marriage anniversary, birthday, you do Annaprasana, even another 500 years, this is what you are all going to have. It's a great remark which we all should understand, that we should ask for him. These things will go on and on and on. It is not going to make any difference to anybody, not to the person. We are forgetting the very presence of God. And we are just asking for tinsels. Swami would say, you go to Kalparuksham and ask for coffee powder. You have the all fulfilling, anything he can grant, but we are asking for tinsels. We are asking for, that is the reason why he has come to awaken us. He said, I am God and you are God. Only difference is, I know it and you do not know it. He never said, you are not God and so you have to become God, I will convert you into God. No. He said, I am God, you are also God. The only difference is, I know it and you do not know it, and I have come to teach you that wonderful truth. And he has done it every second of his life. He has spent on earthly sojourn, every minute of it. Every minute. His love is unfathomable. You can't imagine. Many a time a lot of people ask me, how is Swami once he is inside his private chambers? Believe it or not, Swami is Swami whether he is in bedroom, whether he is in drawing room, whether he is in dining hall, or he is in darshan hall. There is nothing that the moment he goes inside his Vijuru Mandir or his private chamber, there are no bars which are lowered. Swami is Swami all the time. He is that. You can't expect him that he will wear a hat here, something, and no, very, very, very clearly. People, a lot of them have asked me again and again in various places. So he is that, because what he told, what he said at the age of 15, he continued to say at the age of 85. Is that only a person of that conviction. If he is not that, you cannot convey the same thing so consistently. If he says, I am the avatar, I am the God, I have come to give you, what is said at the age of 15, he continued to take till the 85. If you just pick up something and you want to repeat it, you can never do so long. It's just not possible. Somewhere you will slip around. But whenever, I tell you one small incident which happened, we had a long travel and we reached Prashantinilayam around 9 o'clock in the night. So 9:30 or so he was getting into his bedroom for the rest, night rest. So myself and one more gentleman, one more Swami's devotee was with me, we were together. So he remarked, Swami, it must be a long journey, you must be very tired, please take rest. Immediately what Swami said, imagine it is not a public consumption, it is not a public speech where he is talking about anything. The moment in a very private chambers, very few of us who are his own children were there, when he said, Swami, take rest, he said, the body is tired, I am not tired, I am okay. This is the reaction of Swami in the 9:30 p.m. in his private chambers. The children, we are only two of us were there. He said, what rest you are talking about? Only this body is really must be tired, but I am fresh, I am fine. This is how he converses. So he is all the time Swami. There is no 24/7. God is always there. The presence of Swami is always there. That's why we need to be on the tenterhooks when we are with him. It is his awareness, his wisdom, his every bit of it. I'll tell you what one day happened. We were doing a little Padseva with him. Padseva, you know what is Padseva? Is just when we sit around him in the chair, when his Swami seated in the chair, just press his feet gently, just we have that opportunity, just to press his. Some of you must have had that opportunity or blessing. So he called, you people would have known a gentleman called Chiranjit Rao, a short man who used to be with Swami. He said, there were some bales of cloth which was in the next building of Mandir. He said, just go and get one bale of cloth, just so that we will give a tailor and get it stitched for the children. Get one, I want to see that. So this gentleman went there. He's a short-statured man, and there are electrical switches in that. It's a closed room, very dark, and electrical switches are there. And all these cloth bales are piled up onto that, against that wall, and he's not able to see anything. It looks like that, and he's trying to climb and switch on the light there, and he is not able to do that. He slips back. I think he is slipping back. That is what we could guess at. What happened? Swami is in the other building, and we are doing Paseva. Suddenly he just closes his eyes. He says, "That guy is sleeping and not able to switch on the light. Go and switch on the light." Imagine that the other building, and this man is not able to reach the switch light, and he says this, "Hey, he'll go there," and I think he's having a problem in switching on the light. And he's here reading a letter. We are doing Paseva. He's reading a letter. How many things somebody is doing this? It's unfathomable. How it looks very normal thing, but one of our brothers went and then he said that Chiranjira was quite surprised that Swami told that he is not able to reach. Actually, he was not. He was just standing. He didn't know how to switch on the light because he is not able to reach the light. And Swami in another building, and he is chatting. He is reading some letters and talking. Suddenly he says, "Go." And Chiranjira is completely sort of, very, very surprised. But that's how if he knows what is happening here, he knows in entire universe as much as he knows what happens in the next room. And let me tell you more, so he knows everything that happens inside. Happens in each one of us. Happens in each one of us. Because when we go to a temple, what do? We travel all the way for darshan, and we all the way go to sanctum sanctorum. What do? We close our eyes and pray. And Swami has very clearly said, why do you close your eyes? Because God is not outside. God is inside. That's why we close our eyes after going all the way. We go to maybe, here the big lines will be there. Like Swami would say, you go to Balaji, you go to some Murugan temple. You go all the way, and when you go into the sanctum sanctorum, what are you doing? You are closing your eyes. Why do you go for darshan and close your eyes? It's a very contradictory thing we do, but it is not that. Truly, we unconsciously, subconsciously, we do certain acts. That's why we close our eyes, because God is within. And we say our prayers where? Where do we say our prayers? We say very silently. Nobody can listen. How we are not putting a mic and saying loudly into the mic, Swami, this is what I want. But we are silently telling inside a prayer. Who listens to that? How do you assure that it is being listened? And we say Swami has answered our prayer. How did he listen if we have prayed inside? Because he is here, not anywhere else. Within, God is within. If he is able to hear your prayer, what you say inside your recess of your heart, that means where is he? He is within. He is deep in our hearts. That means God resides not only human beings, every living being, every atom of the universe is permeated by God. And He is very loving, He is very patient, He is very, He waits for us. One day, had an opportunity, great blessing of going with him and traveling. Some of the students were traveling in a bus, and for some reason, maybe the beading was not very firm. So the windshield, because of the travel and the bumps and because of the jerks in the travel, the beading gave away and the windshield broke. So completely it is, it got scattered and it got little. So windshield had broken and Swami was ahead. We went to somewhere near Coimbatore and informed that the bus which we are 15, 16 of us were there in the bus, mentioned that it is broken. Swami said they go to repair shop, get it fixed up, then we will go again. Then we got it fixed. Again we reached, and Swami in the evening he said, let us have early eat dinner. We'll go up to the Ooty, which is a hill. So we all had, But Swami, in his very, he's very, meticulous about everything what he does. Very simple things, very small things he gives attention. Very unusual. People do not know about this, but Baba gives, nothing is left for a chance. Everything minutely he sees. If a guest is coming, you know what all questions he will ask if we go and stand in front of him and from the administration side anybody comes. If some very important guest is coming and where he is very keen that they should be taken care, you won't believe what all questions he will ask. He says, did you check up the towel in the room? If the towel is stained or is it clean? He will say, did you flush? Because sometimes flush may not be working, he should not be there. He will ask this. He will say, did you put water and see whether the water is flowing freely or it is getting locked? That much he would ask every small detail. It's working with him is not that simple. Because he will be like a night, he will go retire to the bed. And morning, first thing he'll ask, what happened? What is it? As if night some progress would have happened. Means so like, he's a person, that's how every project has taken place in Prashanti Nilayam. Whatever. If you see Swami's life, what he has built, we cannot build in 800 years what he has done in 80 years. Believe me, it is not possible to plan, to do so much of work. It is, it cannot be done. It's impossible, you can say. Because how much of mandirs, how many institutions, from where he has to do things. It is impossible for normal people to do. But a project is taken, it is like he breathes the project, he eats the project, he thinks the project. It is completely like, complete focus. If there is a particular project is taken, say for example, is building indoor stadium. 4 months, can you ever imagine one of the very large indoor stadiums in the country is built in 126 days? Nobody will believe this, because he does that way. Because right from the ground cleaning, 126 days he completes, he makes sure a project like the indoor stadium is completed. It has got a 4,000 seating capacity. How he does? He just once he is decided that it is to be done, believe it or not, whatever you go and tell any other subject, he will listen, but finally he will come back to what happened to indoor stadium, how is the work is going on. Anybody can see, you can't. It is like that 4 months, it is complete focus of only that project. It just is, Sankalpa makes it happen. People get so much of energy that, people will do things which they can never imagine that they ever can achieve such things. So much of work happens. He goes and meets the workers. Can you imagine that? He's the topmost. He goes and interacts with the normal workers who are doing the work there. You'll wonder why he is doing it. Believe it or not, when he goes there, so much of energy. The moment that guy, Swami, some days he goes and takes the fruits and gives it to all the people there. It is not required for Swami to come every day to see it like this. Some people may think like that. But the moment he goes there, so much of energy is transmitted to them that they do 3 people's work, one fellow will be doing 3 people's work. That's how the work gets done. The amount of energy. One of the largest indoor stadiums built in 126 days, and President Abdul Kalam inaugurated that, saying this is only possible only by Swami, nobody else. A scientist like that, he claims that it's only a Swami who can do this. So that kind of commitment, that kind of, a direction which he gives nobody. That's how this mission has grown, not only into how he has grown into entire world it has spread. I would like to quote this because Swami was born in a country which was ruled by British. When Swami was born, it was, there was the rule of British in India. Even when he declared, I have come for humanity, it was British were ruling the country. And often it is read and in the books it is quoted that sun never set in British Empire. But today British has got confined to only a small UK, a small place. But if there is anybody can say sun never sets in their kingdom, it is Satya Sai spiritual kingdom where sun never sets. In Satya Sai spiritual empire, sun never sets. It is spread every nook and corner of this globe. Every nook and corner of this globe. I had a great blessing of visiting Nepal just recently. What devotion is very humbling, very, very humbling. I haven't seen such wonderful mandirs even in India. So much of love, ordinary people. See, that is what the grace of God. Ordinary people will do extraordinary works. If very big people do big works, it doesn't make any sense. Only ordinary people got. That's why he chose a very ordinary place. Then he did not choose the big cities because he chose a small place. Today, from there, it has spread to the entire globe. And many a time, we have an interaction with Swami. Then we go and pray to him. Say there was one occasion. This is how simple Swami deals with things. How profound he talks about everything. One day there was some small news item, and I happened to read it out for him, and I said, Swami, there is something should be also. I won't say counter it. I said we will also give the correct information for this. He said, don't do it. Just leave it like that. Because if we say something, then they will say, you say something, they will say something else. 2 plus 2, 4 apart. Just leave it like that, it's okay. And I said, Swami, why should we keep on? It is very difficult. Then very smilingly he gave a beautiful. He said, you go and stand at the bank of a river. The river is flowing, you go and stand there on the bank of a river. It's just flowing without any, there's nothing, just a flat surface and it is flowing. You will see for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then you will get bored, you will come away. But same river, when there is a gorge, there is a fall, there is a turn, there is a bend, there is a huge boulder against which it hits, then it splashes the water. How much beautiful it looks. He says, all the obstacles in life are created to create beauty to the life. It is not created. Otherwise, life will be boring. If everything is after that, we will feel boring. Little bit of, we should have all the mixture of everything. We should have a fall. We should have a bend. We should splash little water. We should. And Swami very concludingly, he said very beautifully. He said, your speed increases with all those bends and slowly. It's just on a flat surface. It is going in the same speed. But when it is doing all these bends and going up and down and going, your speed increases to reach the destination of ocean. The river is going towards the ocean. Speed increases. It doesn't. So, how profound each time he speaks, each time he talked. I was talking about this bus. You know, that windshield broken, then in the Coimbatore we reached very surprisingly, evening he said, we are early dinner, we'll go. Then he says, all of us will go in different cars because this bus may take some time. So from Coimbatore is around 60 kilometers Ooty, but generally it takes 2-3 hours drive. We are going. He said, small cars we better go, not go in a bus, let it come slowly. And he assigned us, few of us, some duty. He said, come in the car with some luggage and some saris and all that he kept. He said, you come little slowly, collect all these things and come. So around 9:30 in the night, we collected whatever material was there and we were going up from a place to a hill station. Around 11:30 in the night, suddenly the car stops and there is some fire coming in the bonnet and it got heated up and some fire started. and it's chill outside. It's a hill station and it's raining. We are 4 of us and it's pitch dark. So we can't even get out because it's raining and we are seated inside. But there is a smoke in the bonnet, so we are not sure if something goes wrong. So we were a little worried, but then we put on some muffler and got out. And no way connectivity. There's no way you can connect anybody, contact anybody because mobiles were not there those days. And also in a forest area, not very connectivity is not there. In half an hour, it so happened we find some lights. Every light, whatever going there, we are trying to stop a vehicle. But people don't stop in the night. They're also on their own way. Suddenly we watched a person, there's a bus coming, and the person is completely covered himself in a cloth. Only eyes can be seen, completely covered, the driver. But it is we could recognize it is a bus belongs to Satya Sai Central Trust. And it's a bus which we were traveling. It got repaired and it was supposed to come. The moment we saw it is again the windshield is broken. The driver is not able to, because of the cold. He has put a lot of rugs and all that, and he has like sort of put all the cloth around to ward off the cold. And he's coming and he saw us, 3-4 of us, and we stopped. Then he said, "Sir, kya hua?" Then we said, "The car has run." We shifted all the luggage into our bus, and we are traveling. It's very cold in the night, so all of us were hiding under the seats because it is coming in. So it's like all the fog is coming in. So around 1:30, 1:45, we reached Ooty. Then we have to get into Mandir at 1:45. Once in 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the Prashant Nilayam, how it's a pin drop silence. Everything, like that's the way Swami's routine is. Wherever Swami is to be there, completely give you like a divine. That entire atmosphere is you feel completely charged, and there's a deep silence which pervades all those places. So 1:45 a.m. we reached, and of course we were all tired. We took some luggage, so we were just getting into Mandir. As I approached the Mandir, very familiar voice, "Hey Ratnakar," very familiar voice at 1:45 a.m. I looked around. He said, "Look up." Then I looked up. Swami is in the window, waiting at 1:45 because he knew we had not come. At 1:45 a.m. he's waiting near the window. As soon as he saw, he just said, "Hey Ratnakar," because voice is very familiar, but never expected that Swami will be waiting there at the window. I looked and he said, "Akran, look up." So when I looked up, it is Swami who is standing here, and he has instructed them that boys will be tired and they give them nice food. So once Swami has instructed nice food means they have really given full course meal there at 1:45 a.m. And we can't eat. We are already had early dinner, but they say no, it has to be eaten now. Swami's instruction at 1:45 a.m. That apart, what I am saying is, even today, our own mothers won't wait for us even at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at home. They say this fellow will come sometime, will come, we'll go to sleep, we'll go to his room. At 1:45 a.m., he was just standing near the window watching for us. The incident which is why I am recollecting is, God is always waiting for us. It is not just that particular instant. He is waiting for us to return to Him. He is always waiting at His doorstep, looking for us when we are coming back. That is the message which I think we all should notice about this incident. He is waiting. He is waiting for us to arrive. He is waiting for us to reach safely so that He can take us inside. That is the way Swami's love is all about. Every minute He troubled for us. Every second, believe it or not, Every second his heart throbbed for his devotees. Right from the age of 14 till 85. Every minute, every second he spent on this planet was spent for the people, spent for the devotees. And so many beautiful things he has in 1991, he said, like, you have always been in the bhajans and you are doing bhajan, you should know a little bit of world and how it works, what it does. So he said, go and join some job, and he only fixed everything very, very beautifully on that particular day on July 11th, 1991. He said, you go and join some job so that you learn. I refused. I said, Swami, I am not going to go for any job. He said, no, you go because you don't know how world works. You should learn all the ways of working. I refused. I said, Swami, no, I won't leave your lotus feet. I am not going to leave from here and go. He said, we were talking almost for quite some time. Then he was a bit firm and said, you better go. I said, now it is getting a little serious. So I said, okay, Swami, I will take leave and I will go. Then when he said, you will go, and that day he said, no, and he went outside and everybody in darshan line, I'm going to Vrindavan, I have Whitefield. Suddenly he had just come from Whitefield. He said, I'm going to Whitefield. And somebody asked, Swami, only 1 week back you have come from there after summer. Again, you are so soon, you are going, what happened? No, I have to select some sarees for birthday, so I have to go. Actually, it is not so. He had told me, I will take you with me to, when I am going for job. He personally came to drop me for that. One day, morning he came and came back in the evening. So he took me that day. And when evening around 4:30, 5 o'clock, he said, you go back to city now, because morning traveling from here it will be difficult to go on time. So by 9 o'clock we should be there, the first day of my job. So he said, you go in the evening. So I went to touch his feet and he was crying actually. I knelt down before him and I touched his feet. And he was also very emotional. He said, my blessings are with you. All that he was saying, but I was reluctantly going. But he had firmly instructed that I must go. You must learn everything. So when I touched his feet, and I didn't want to see his back, he was going to his bedroom. I didn't want to see his back going to his room. I was closing my eyes and kneeling down because I can hear the moment he closes the door. When he pulls the door, you get some sound comes, so I can get up and come. So I was just kneeling down, waiting for him to close the door so that I can hear and then come out. It was not happening. It takes hardly from the place where I took Namaskar to go to his room, it takes 15 seconds, not less than 15 seconds, just across. It is not happening. So I opened my eyes slowly. I was kneeling down and closed, like that, sitting here with my head bent. I opened my eyes, then I saw my feet and red robe. I said, my God. Then I looked up and he's standing right in front of me, just watching me like this. I looked up, of course the tears were rolling like this, I looked up. Then very lovingly he looked at me and said, you are going, but I tell you one thing, you always remember. Then he said, you are going to the world, but one thing you always remember as my instruction. Never do a thing by doing which you cannot respect yourself. Never do a thing by doing which you cannot respect yourself. That has been a preamble for my life. That is, I can still hear him saying this. Such a profoundly, a young man, he said, don't do anything which yourself will fall in your own eyes when we have to think. So, for how much each one is being nurtured, how much each one is being, being chiseled, has been carved, each one of us have been carved for some purpose. And every time there is a message of Bhagavan. Every time so much of love. And believe me, he is very tough master. Very tough master. It's not easy. To deal and be with him is not so easy. In the sense that you have to be like him only. He doesn't like anything what is not like him. Because he wants each one of us to be like him. He doesn't, there is no scope for, of course he's a loving master, he forgives everybody, but he expects the highest standards. There are times when, the simplest punishment, you know what he gives? Maybe some of the elders may be knowing. The simplest punishment, what he does, what he gives? Silence. He becomes Dakshinamurti, suddenly he becomes, only in silence he will teach you. He will be an energy blank. You may be sitting with him, having dinner, having lunch, it is no big deal. You are an energy blank. Completely you will be ignored. One day it so happened, he called for me and I was not present that time for some reason, which again some work. So he came out and asked, "Hey, where is Ratnakar?" I was, unfortunately for me, I was not there, but I had gone on some work, but not expected. 6 months it took me back. 6 months it took me back to again speak to or to come and have interaction with him. 6 months it took. He just he won't budge. He says, "I was and you are not there. How come?" And that 6 months you will grow. And believe me, you will grow more closer to him because that pangs of separation, you'll love. In fact, when we look back, many times I cherish those 6 months. Not that I want those repeatedly, but we cherish it because that's the time when you're always thinking about him, always, and he does it very, very strongly. Means I'm just sharing with you because how an avatar, we are being with an avatar, somebody who behaves completely like a human being, but he is all the time God. You need to constantly remind Swami is God, Swami is God, Swami is God. Otherwise, it's very easy to forget. Because every time his dealing is like that. Swami's dealing is like, he will ask you, what is your age 4 times in a day. You will think morning only I told him, he doesn't remember. But he is not doing it because he does not remember your age, nor he is forgetting what he is asked in the morning. No. He is only giving an opportunity. Every time he talks to you, say something to you, you will feel happy. Swami has spoken so many times. But you can get carried away by the way he deals with everybody, because he is very much like human beings, which he deals every day. He eats normal like us, he talks like that, he jokes like that, he shows concern like us. Everything. I tell you what happened. When my 2003, Swami had a fall in Vrindavan. Yeah, he has to undergo surgery. That's how we have seen Swami getting onto the chair. So it so happened, the second time he had a fall, then again, when I was in Bangalore, my father called me in the morning, around 7:45, 8 o'clock. He said, "There's some problem here, Swami has had some issue, you come." I was not expecting, because the previous day only I had come from Puttaparthi. So I said, maybe my father, I don't know, I thought I was having some coffee there, tea there. I was alone because my wife and kid was there in Puttaparthi. So we had gone for Ganesh Chaturthi. So when he called me, I was having and I was reading newspaper. I took it easy, but immediately, in next 10 minutes again he called me. He said, "What the hell are you doing? Still you are there." In 10 minutes. I thought something is wrong, it's very serious. And I left everything there, just took little money for my fuel and drove to Puttaparthi. You won't believe how things unfold in life. I could open my house only after 1.5 years. Just I walked away. It took me 1.5 years to go back and reopen my house. Things will, how it happens, what happens is not in our control. Like TJ uncle say, when we are come onto this, the exit, both are fixed actually, which we are not knowing it. We should always grow closer to God. Anyway, I'll just tell you this, what happened. How Swami lovingly prepares you for anything, for everything. He's the master. When I came there, my father asked me, I came back, they said Swami had a fall, again Swami had issue. But when I saw Swami was little, okay, then he came for darshan in the evening in a small buggy, small battery car. So few days after that, suddenly one night my mother woke me up and said, your father is not keeping well. I went and saw he was very cold, I knew something is wrong. So drove him to super specialty hospital, they said he has a heart attack. So we admitted him. And morning around 8 o'clock I went to Swami's room, and by then they had informed Swami. So 8 o'clock I saw him in the morning. First thing I went and touched his feet and said, before I wanted to tell him that, yes, I am talking about my father, but about Swami's younger brother, his own brother. So I went to tell him. Then he looked at me very deeply and said, what to do that? His lungs are tired. This is the first sentence he's saying. His lungs are tired. Means it hit me so much, because being with him, being Swami's presence, being grown with him, how he talks, we know how very cryptically he will talk. I remember somebody came and said, Swami, leukemia, blood cancer. Somebody had some issue, they said, please cure, this is a young lady, she has a problem. I heard this from a very close friend of mine who was studying with me, who was sitting next to, and he represented to Swami. You know what Swami said? Don't worry, I will give new blood. 3 days she died. Actually, then they were called for interview, they were saying, Swami, you said you will give new blood. We thought you would cure her, but she died. But Swami said, yes, I am going to give her new blood. She is coming back and she will have a proper blood. We can't understand what Swami says. So when we, all knowing all this, being grown with him, he told me, first sentence is, his lungs are tired. I knew it, something is wrong. He was heart and very healthy man. First sentence is his lungs are tired. Then somewhere a doubt started in me that Swami is signaling something. I said, okay, then that's all. That one sentence is over. He has told you something, he has prepared you. But after that he said, call the doctors, show them, get the experts. All that he was going through that. Then there was an expert called from America, and he came and he saw him and he was treating him. He came and told me, Ratnakar, we will discharge him in 2 days. He is absolutely fine, he is rocking, all that, American style. He said, yes, he can fly, all that. So I told Swami in the evening, how is he? I said, Swami, he can get discharged in a day or two. And again, very cryptically he says, how na? But it's okay, but when is it he's getting discharged? I said, in 2 days time, doctor said. He said, but whenever he's discharging, tell me before that. I will send a big vehicle, because he cannot come sitting, he needs to come lying down. Again, very cryptically, it hit me so much. He said, why? When he's discharged, he can come in normal car. Why he is saying, he specifically said, I'll send a big vehicle, he has to come lying down. In 2 days time, again, he developed some complications, and the same doctor who said we can fly, he said it's difficult, looks very difficult. So of course, 2-3 days after that, almost 25 days he was in hospital. After Swami said he has to come in exactly 4 days, my father expired. And to the letter of what he said, Swami sent his very big ambulance, and we have to bring his mortal remains. He was lying down. When I was carrying him in the mobile. I just was recollecting how Swami was saying that I will send a vehicle and he has to come lying down. I was sitting with him. It was ringing in my, but very, very uniquely, the way Swami prepared me over a period of the 20 days with giving some directions. You should be just tuned to him, and the entire strength of this universe comes from God. And once we derive that God, that strength from him, everything we can face in this world, anything, believe it, everything means everything we have, we can face, we have God with us, because the power of God is limitless, limitless. So it so happened after that, again, how he tests you, how he, because I want to share this because people should know what Swami is all about, how Swami trains you, how Swami, to be with him is a lesson, to be with him is a greatest blessing. Then it so happened that day, we took him, the mortal remains of my father was taken to the house. A lot of people, because he was loved by everybody there, thousands of people thronged, and it's a big, he's like he has seen Puttaparthi from, they have grown together, he is like a Talaiva of the Puttaparthi. So thousands of people wailing, crying, all that. And it so happened, I have to take him for the final rites. So I went back to Swami's residence at 2:30 in the afternoon, just to take, because as much as my father, it is his brother also. So I went to take, just leave and tell him this is what it is, and we are going for cremation. So as I entered I was also very, very disturbed. Very disturbed. And you know how Swami handles, I just want to, it's so personal, but I want to share this because to be with God itself is a great blessing, and to learn and to share life with Him. To know Him itself is a great blessing, but to be traveling with Him, to work for Him, to be part of His mission is not earned in one birth. It must be coming from several births. It's a merit earned in many births. So I went and sat there. Surprising, he is more sort of in grief than I do. So I said, my God, what's happening? Because he didn't want me to feel very, he wanted to divert my attention. Now what is the way? He shows more grief than I do. So now I end up saying, no Swami, it's okay, all that is, now it's a counter it is. I said, no problem Swami, everything is okay, I'm taking care. And then he just sits there. He said, okay, where is the last rites of performing, you know, how is the mother, all that he exchanged. Why I am saying all this is, he can be very human-like, but you never should ever forget that he is God himself. Because his acts are very normal. Because he has to act normal so that we feel akin to him, we feel close to him. If he acts every time like God, let me tell you, none of us can go near him. None of us. Because we do so many things, we have some thoughts, we have some words, we say something. We are not that pure. When we go and sit and if he says everything, hey, what you did, why are you thinking in the morning, you will be afraid of him than love him. So he acts as if he's normal, everything he shares normally. He's like part of, that's how this mission, he started with Manasa Bhajare, beautifully said. At the age of 14, he sang with some 4 or 5 people. How is it is spread into the world? How? A small hamlet beyond civilization, a person comes out from an ordinary family and says, Manasa Bhajare Guru Charanam, and I have come for the redeem the humanity. And he makes it happen. He goes to, so many times it is baffling how a person can do it unless he is God himself. Unless he is God himself. The light is like that. When sun rises, sun rays penetrates everybody. Whether it is in Kuching, it is Penang, or it is Kuala Lumpur, It makes no difference. It reaches every bit of it. You can go to Singapore, Indonesia, anywhere. Sun rises, the light is automatically spreads engulfs entire globe. It is like that. When Avatar comes, there is no need for him to, that light itself will shine forth and engulf entire humanity. That is what Swami is all about. That is what Swami is. So wonderful master we have. So wonderful. Because life is one-way traffic. Let me tell you, once we are taken birth till the last breath, it's a one-way traffic. You have no way to come back. You are only traveling one way. There's no. So that's why Swami, fill up your heart with love. Don't hurt anybody. Don't say anything bad thing about it. Don't criticize everybody. Because you don't have time to come back and correct it. You cannot repair that. What you have damaged now, you cannot repair. It is done. That's it. Period. You cannot come back. Even again you are coming back to say sorry. Don't think it. That is a different moment in your life. You are expending your life. Your time is fixed. Please, please, please fill up. That's why Swami has come. Fill up your heart with complete love. Only Swami's love. Only that will take us to the path of. That will take us to the goal of Swami. Nothing else. He doesn't expect anything from us because He is the giver. He is the Sakaladata Sarvadata. He is the one who gives everybody everything. It looks like we are earning, we are doing that, we have got big corporations, we are the donors, we are constructing. Yeah, it looks like that, but it is not so. In the end of the moment, everybody leaves and goes. It is not a pessimistic way of looking at things. We are supposed to do things what we require, but in this is very strictly one-way traffic. Don't hurt anybody. Don't cause any accidents, either physical, mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual. Don't cause any accidents because you don't come back to repair it. You cannot, because all these things will remain in the spiritual consciousness of every human being. What you say is recorded. Whatever we think is recorded in the divine consciousness. We may say, we may think very bad for others in our. Nobody is listening, we can think. No. How your prayer is heard, even the wrong things also are heard. If your prayer can be heard inside, everything else also can be heard from what you're thinking, what you're plotting, what you're scheming, what you're saying, what you're criticizing. No, everything is heard by Him. So, for whose sake we should do this? We should all question, all brothers and sisters, we should pose this question to each one of us. For whose sake we should follow the teachings of Bhagavan? Please answer each one of us for our sake. Whose sake we have to do this? For whose sake? It is for our own sake we have to follow this. For our own sake we have to tread this path of truth, tread this path of love, tread the path of this righteousness. Not for Swami. Swami, we have nothing we can give to Swami. Because He is the giver. It is not, He doesn't come to take anything. He doesn't. There is nothing. In even life, Swami beautifully told us so many stories. People will say, when there is a difficult time, they say, oh, why God, you are giving me so much difficulty. Difficulty is also not given by God. Difficulties are given or come to our lives only by our own actions, our own, whatever we have done, we have to work it out. Once Swami beautifully told one story in Krishna's life. All these gopikas, the devotees of Krishna, used to go to Yamuna river to fetch water. So they take water, and Krishna also walks behind them and he goes to the Yamuna river. And when they put the pot into the river and fill the pot with water, it becomes heavy. Then they ask Krishna, please help us to put it on the top of our head, because they used to carry the pots on the head. And when they are asking Krishna, please come and help, he won't look at them. He behaves as if he has not heard them. He looks other way, this way, that way, but he doesn't listen to them. But then they help each other, they take the pot, heavy pots, and they carry, go home. When Krishna again follows them, and when they are putting it down, he runs and again he puts down. Because they were watching him doing this, one day they all caught him and said, what the hell is going on? What are you doing? When we want this heavy pots to be poured, you are behaving as if you have not heard us. But when the easier part of keeping, you're putting it down, you're running and we are not asking, you're on your own, you're coming and asking. And doing this work. Who asked you to do this? Why are you doing this? Then you know what Krishna said? He said, my dear Gopikas, how can I ever put a burden on your head? I don't like to give the heavy parts on your head. I don't like it. I don't like to burden you with all this. But I am ever eager to unburden you, to take out your part and keep it down. I am always running for that. So God is always, never wants to burden. People will say, I was there in Sai Samiti for 15 years, but never itna problem. Nahin. The problem is, we have certain sanchita karmas, which we work it out. For God, He doesn't need to put, He doesn't want to ever put, He wants to see you happy, He wants to see, because He wants to be, all of us to be like Him, always smiling, always full of joy. And one more thing I want to, before I think what's time now? 11:30? I have exceeded, I think, little bit. Okay, before, it's a joy with Swami in our lives is a celebration. Don't ever leave him. Don't ever. Hold him tight. Hold him very close to our hearts. You will see how wonderfully he will guide each one of us. Because my personal experience is surrender to him and you see life unfolds itself. Don't try that and this. It is better left to him. He will be, let Swami be head of your family. Make Swami head of your family. Let him guide us. Let him be, for whatever, good or bad. You share the joy as well as the sorrow with him. Don't share only everything. That's why Kabir said, if in the times of sorrow we remember him, in times of happiness we don't. And those who remember him in times of happiness, why ever sorrow comes on that? That is what Kabir said. So we share everything with him. Be it joy, be it little sorrow, be it loss, be it profit, be it anything. Just share with him, be with him, and see how life is so enjoyable it becomes. How wonderful it is. How full of meaning. So we have more sessions, I think, here. We'll keep talking, but I hope these wonderful sessions, these satsangs, these lovely meetings which happen should give more and more of Swami to each one of us. We should be able to carry him. Satsang is very important when we remind ourselves of, every time we remind ourselves of the holy name of Swami, the divine presence of Swami, because for me, miracle means I see this many people in Malaysia here. That's a miracle for me. When I come from Puttaparthi, I don't need to be shown anything else as a miracle. For me, miracle is when I see all of you, that is a miracle because Swami is in each one of you. For me, darshan is when seeing you, that is my darshan. That is Swami's miracle. That is Swami's experience for us. Because we are from very different backgrounds, different places, different thinkings, different upbringings, everything different about us, except one thing, Swami. So let us keep that Swami very firmly with us, and may Swami bless you all the time in every possible way, so that our life becomes more and more blissful. Thank you very much. Sai Ram.